Hey there, everybody. This is Kenny. Welcome back to another edition of the Leading from the Middle podcast. I am so glad you decided to join us today. This is the podcast for middle managers who want to develop themselves, develop their teams, and improve their results. I got to talk to the chairman and founder at Entelechy Academy, David C.M. Carter. David is an amazing leadership trainer and teacher, and it is just amazing things that he's doing. David really feels, and so do I, and I'm sure a lot of you do, that we are right now in a talent and skills crisis. What do we do about it? David will show you how and what his academy does. And if you follow him and you look at his site, you will see so many great hints and tips and tools for you to use. You don't want to miss a second of his important teaching. Let's get at it.
This episode is brought to you by Kitcaster. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. How do funded startup founders attract prospects and talent? Podcast interviews. How do entrepreneurs with exits find new deals? Podcast interviews. How do C-suite execs differentiate in crowded markets? Podcast interviews. Kitcaster books you on top podcasts. Click the link in the show notes for a special offer. Celebrate good conversation.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Leading from the Middle podcast. I have got a tremendous leader with me today who is going to share such a wealth of knowledge that he has and how leaders can really get past these times and what skills do leaders really need. So I want to introduce the chairman and founder at Entelechy, David C.M. Carter has joined me today. David, it is so great to connect with you. How you doing there, sir?
Hello, Kenny. Delighted to join you. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much for the time. Your backstory is just amazing. I got to tell you, man, it was one of those times I kept searching. Next thing I knew, it was like an hour and a half gone as I was looking up all the amazing things you've done in your career. I'd love to just hear about that, but more specifically also what's led you to start this phenomenal academy that you are now heading up.
Well, the reason my CV is so long is because I'm so old.
No, not at all.
And I've been a serial entrepreneur since I was probably about 13 or 14.
Wow.
Which was 50 years ago.
Wow.
And during that long career, I didn't go to university. I went straight into work after school. And there's been a red thread throughout everything I've ever done in my life, which is about helping other people become successful. And I started my mentoring career of CEOs, and 20 years later I'd built up the world's leading CEO mentoring company with clients and offices all around the world, and also became known as the world's leading CEO mentor. So hopefully I've got a few pearls of wisdom to share with your audience today.
Yeah, no question. And from 13, 14, and I love what you said, David, about how you just had this passion to make other people successful. And oh my gosh, look how that works, right? You're successful when you make others successful. And also the research on you really showed that is just your main passion. So let's get into the academy and what it does. And you've got something up on the screen that I can't wait for you to talk about. So what does the academy do? And why don't you just dive right into what you have up here on the screen, and you'll certainly, talk through it for the folks that'll just listen.
Before I jump into that, I want to add a thought and some context to the conversation.
Of course.
Your audience are managers, and they're leading teams and leading divisions or subsidiaries or whatever.
Yes.
And leadership is all about one word, and that one word is followership. And people need to understand that the greatest managers, the greatest leaders in the world are those whose followers adore them and want to work hard for them, want to learn from them, want to give their best shot for them. And so what I learned a long time ago, which has become that red thread in my career, is that most people don't understand what their own potential is. And every baby that's born on the planet is born with the innate ability to be brilliant at all of our 54 character qualities, but they get parented out of you, schooled out of you, churched out of you, communitied out of you, workplaced out of you. And so very often people in their 20s and 30s think that their character is baked into stone, a bit like, I'm a Capricorn. I'm always a Capricorn. I'm always going to be one. What they don't realize is that they have a really quick and easy ability to be better at and dial up in a meaningful way any of these 54 character qualities. Anybody can learn to be more calm, more kind, more collaborative, more organized, more disciplined, more reliable. And they can get very quick wins. But what we were never taught at school or at college was these character qualities. And these character qualities underpin absolutely everything. Over the last 10 years around the world, in every major economy, there's been what's been described as the soft skills crisis, the work-ready skills crisis. And people talk about how people need to be better at debating, managing questions, personal branding, being coachable, storytelling, public speaking, processing feedback, leading a team, managing time, delegating. And they're such abstract concepts. And they're actually underpinned by a number of character qualities. So one of the world's biggest management consultancy firms, third biggest in terms of revenues, was 19th in the league table of profitability. And they thought we're this gigantic machine telling other people how to run their own business, but we're not particularly good at running our own. And how do we get to be more profitable? Well, we need to be more productive. How do we be more productive? Well, they bill in 6-minute increments of time. And they thought, right, we need to be better at time management. And so every single person from the boardroom to the basement went on a $2,880 per person time management course. And despite 95% of the people getting 95% or more in the quiz at the end of the course, they accepted that a month, 3-6 months later, their time management skills hadn't improved at all. And so they asked me what was wrong with the course and what was wrong with the quiz. I said, well, the quiz is really easy. You've tested you've assessed what they were taught, not what they've learned and applied. I could go on a course tomorrow for the day in astrophysics and quantum AI computing, and I could probably pass the quiz at the end of the day, but that doesn't mean in a month's time I would have learned anything that I can apply in my life.
Right.
And the second thing is the course was all about the benefits of time management and the theory of time management. There was no practical learning. So I said to them, if you taught your people to be accountable, responsible, disciplined, organized, efficient, and reliable, guess what? They'd be brilliant at time management. So you're teaching them the wrong thing. So let's teach them those 6 character qualities, because not only will they help them in terms of time management, they're going to help them in lots of other aspects of their life and their relationships at home, at work. And so this domain of the character qualities has never been taught as a subject, but it's the underpinning domain that underpins the development of all skills, hard skills, soft skills, technical skills. And so helping anybody become more creative, more efficient, more confident, more open-minded, this is what Entelechy Academy does.
Mm-hmm.
And entelechy is a word that comes from Aristotle.
Mm-hmm.
The entelechy of an acorn is an oak tree. The entelechy of a caterpillar is a butterfly. And so the entelechy of Kenny is the ultimate version of Kenny with all of his potential fully actualized. Entelechy, Aristotle also said that character determines destiny.
Yes. Yes.
And what he meant by that was we all end up in life wherever we end up as a direct function of our character.
Yeah.
So each of these character qualities are developable. And so the way Entelechy Academy works is when we take on a company that wants to become a company of character, everyone in the company does a self-assessment of those 54 character qualities. I see this one as a strength, and I see this one as a growth opportunity, and this one's so-so in the middle. And then they get a 360 done so they can compare how they see themselves with how other people see them. Some of them where they see as a strength, everyone else will see as a strength. Some that they see as a growth opportunity, others will see as a growth opportunity. And interestingly, the outliers are where they see it as a strength, but everybody else sees it as a growth opportunity,
Mm-hmm.
or they see it as a growth opportunity, but everybody else sees it as a strength. Anyway, the richness of that data, and more to the point, if someone says, Kenny, this is a strength of yours, here's the behavior that I observe with you being committed. Keep doing that because it works. And do more of it, please. You're like, okay, right. Well, if that's what people like me doing to demonstrate that, I'm going to do more of it.
Mm-hmm.
Equally, if someone says, you're not very open-minded, and that's a growth opportunity. So here's an example of a situation where you could be open-minded, like in a board meeting or a team meeting or whatever. You could do this or So now 10 people have told you need to be more open-minded, have given you, 6 or 7 or 8 different ways in which you could do it. You've now got the instruction manual right in front of you for what you need to do to dial up that particular character quality to meet your people's needs. So in 3 months' time, if you do all those things, they're going to turn around and say, well, you're really open-minded now. That's fantastic. You've changed.
You've changed. Yeah.
And so if you ask a manager or a leader of a team or a business, which I do regularly, and I show them just the 54 character qualities, and I say, choose half a dozen that if everyone in your entire organization was brilliant at this, which ones would you choose? And they end up going, oh, this one. And I say, oh, okay, we've actually chosen 12, but let's stick with those 12. What would the impact on your business be? Well, we'd have 10% more sales, 25% better gross margin, slash our churn of first-year employees, improve retention, blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, let's put a monetary value to that. Oh, that could be worth, $1 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if it only cost you $50,000 to do our Discover program for all your people, you're going to get a 20 times return on investment by the people improving the very skills and the very behaviors that you've just said would shift the dial on your performance.
Mm.
And the most important thing is, to the average employee, they don't understand concepts like managing people or developing a strategy or ensuring compliance or generating engagement. They kind of vaguely understand, but they haven't got a clue what to do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you say to them, well, it means you need to be more adaptable and more energetic and more discerning and more open-minded and more practical and more creative. Oh, right, I know how to do those, or at least I think I do. And so it's putting language that people can relate to and immediately apply a new behavior to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the way in which we develop our teams to become the best version of themselves individually and ourselves collectively is to talk a language that everybody understands. So I'd like to tell you a quick story.
Yes, please.
Every Monday at 10 o'clock, the entire Entelechy team joins a Zoom meeting.
Uh-huh.
And we have a little 2 or 3 minute update from everybody. And then everybody breaks out into a group of 4 people. And you have a personal character quality that you're working on that month and a professional one. And about 6 months ago, we had a new senior sales chap join us, and he chose to work on being more disciplined professionally and kind personally. And when he was asked in his little team, why do you want to be more disciplined? He said, well, I notice I'm constantly disrupted by my mobile phone pinging off Slack messages and WhatsApp messages.
Okay.
And so I need to be more disciplined and not get distracted. And I can then be more productive and make more sales calls. So one of the girls in the group said, oh, I suffer that too. What I've learned is 2 things. First of all, I schedule everything in my diary. So 9 o'clock till 10:15 sales calls, 10:15 till 10:30 coffee break, 10:30 till 11:45 sales calls, 11:45 till 12 midday coffee break. What gets scheduled gets done. And one of the other colleagues said, and I can go even further, I leave my mobile phone in the kitchen next to the coffee machine, so it's not pinging off and distracting me.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, right, well, those 2 are easy to do. That'll make a big difference. I'll report back next week. And then they said, what about your personal one? And he said, oh, I've been married 30 years, just had our first grandchild, and I really want to show appreciation to my wife. She's been amazing. And so I'm going to work on being kind. And the girl said, oh, what do you think she'd appreciate? He said, oh, it's just silly little things. Like on Tuesday evenings, I could go out and take the garbage out to the front drive for the garbage guys to collect early the next morning without being asked or nagged. At 9 o'clock at night, I could take the dog round the block for a pee before bedtime without being nagged or asked. There were 2 others. What were they? Oh, yes. One was my wife likes to put the washing out on the washing line in the garden rather than in a tumble dryer. And if it rains, I could rush outside, collect the washing, put it in the laundry basket in the utility room, and what was the last? Oh, yes. He said, I go to the gym at 6 a.m. and my gym is right next to the dry cleaners, the laundry place. And so after I've come out the gym, I could pick up my wife's dry cleaning and save her a trip into town. And everyone said, oh, well, that's plenty to work on for a week. Yeah. Anyway, the following Monday, he turns up at the team meeting, same group for that month. And he's like, oh, I've got to share this story. He said, I made 3 hours and 40 minutes more phone calls, sales calls this last week because of that one technique of diarizing and leaving the phone next to the coffee machine.
Right. Wow.
So he literally was 10% more productive.
Yeah.
And booked 13 more demos than he would have done if he hadn't done that.
Wow.
So a simple shift in behavior achieved a higher level of productivity and therefore profitability for our company and job satisfaction for him.
Yeah.
My favorite part of the story, they said, oh, how did being kind go? And he said, well, every Friday evening, my wife cooks a nice kind of romantic dinner just for the 2 of us. And we've always done that since the kids left home. Favorite part of the weekend. She brings a gin and tonic into my office at 6:30 and tells me, right, switch your computer off, clean your desk, and supper will be ready at 7. Anyway, this particular Friday, she came in, put his gin and tonic on the table, had a gin and tonic in her hand herself, sat down on the chair in his office, said, right, I'm going to come straight to the point. Are you having an affair? And he said, no, of course not. Why on earth would you suggest that? And she said, well, what's happened to you since you joined this Entelechy outfit? Are they giving you drugs or something? You've collected my dry cleaning. You've brought the washing in from the line. You've taken the dogs for a walk without being nagged. You've, taken the garbage out on Tuesday. Said, no, I'm working on being more kind. And she said, well, whatever drugs they're giving you at Entelechy, keep taking them because I really like it.
I love it.
and so in a week, he
Yeah.
basically said, just look at the impact on my life of 2 little 5-degree course corrections in my behavior, which I became conscious of would have a positive impact. They were so easy to do. And so there's two quick examples of how working on 2 character qualities, even after a week, makes a big difference. And he's carried on ever since using that discipline technique and being kind to his daughters and friends and colleagues. And he just said, it's so nice when people appreciate you. And it's like a dopamine hit every time you get thanked for something. So it's addictive. So the point I'm trying to make is it's a very easy thing to do. It gets really good results very quickly. And in a team, you can say to your colleagues, right, you gave me this feedback in my 360 that you want me to be more competitive or more accountable or more purposeful, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Give me an example of what that would look like to you. And of course, it will mean different things to different people. And they're like, okay, well, I can do that. Yes, I can copy that idea. I like that one. Yes, right, leave it with me. Now he knows exactly what he's got to do to please his colleagues in something that he can't disagree would be a good thing for him and the company to do. Mm-hmm. And so now in our company, every time we take on a new project or anything, we say, right, what are the character qualities that we each individually and this team working on this project need to dial up? Right, we need to be more accountable. We need to be more disciplined, sincere, honest, whatever the hell it is. And guess what? It's that conversation all the time that we're talking about. How do we need to behave better in order to deliver outstanding results for this client? And guess what? The clients notice it and love it. So they give you repeat business. Mm-hmm. And so what I'm trying to say to you is this is not rocket science. This goes back 2,500 years to Aristotle, where he basically said, it's your character which will determine your outcome. And here are the 54 character qualities that underpin everything. So that's my long answer to your question about what we do and how we do it.
Oh, that is so awesome. And I have that written in bold letters before we got on. Character determines destiny. And it is just when you can identify all of those. And I love that you said also that, we're all born with all this potential, and then somehow along the way, it just gets ruined. Talk through this document some, David, in the time we have left, because you've got some great stuff up here.
So over the last 10 years, whether it's the World Economic Forum, McKinsey, PwC, Deloitte, Harvard Business Review, The Economist, they've all written these huge, long academic research papers about the types of leader we need and the soft skills that we need. And these 11 themes came out of the fusion of that research from McKinsey and the World Economic Forum, etc. Mm-hmm. People need to be bold in the face of change, communicators, intellectually curious. And these are such nebulous concepts. So we took all of that research and we went to nearly 300 heads of HR and people development around the world, probably 200 in the UK and the rest overseas. And we said, okay, you all talk about this soft skills crisis. Exactly what are the soft skills that your people or applicants don't have that you need them to have? And it took us about 1.25 years, but we distilled it all down into these 77 essential soft skills that employers want to need their applicants and employees to have that they don't have. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then we took our 54 character qualities and mapped the top 6 character qualities against each of those soft skills. Mm-hmm. we call this our be, do, become framework. So if you are authentic, responsible, discerning, fair, wise, and purposeful, you'll be living ethically. But if you say to someone, go live ethically, okay,
Yeah.
what
What does
do I
that
do?
mean? Yeah.
What
Yeah.
you do is you be
Yeah.
authentic. And so very simply, this
Yeah.
framework, which is a breakthrough, you can and the 54 character qualities, which are here on the left hand side, they appear multiple times. I think
Yeah.
on average 15 times.
Mm-hmm.
So if you work, for example, on being collaborative,
Mm-hmm.
this one here, it not only helps you become a unifier, but it also helps you maintain boundaries, and so 15 other of the soft skills. So developing the character qualities over time will help you become brilliant at all of the soft skills and all of the aspirations.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a framework, and HR people love frameworks, um, and so do academics. But it's
Yeah.
really simple. The big jargon-filled consultancies and research houses talk about big concepts like a manager of systems or a manager of change. We've then taken the soft skills that underpin that, but then we've gone one level further and said, and here's the character qualities that you need to become good at those soft skills to become a manager of systems or whatever the aspiration is.
Yeah. Wow.
And so, if we look at me, David, I want to be a thought leader. That's
Mm-hmm.
probably my aspiration. Well, I need to be good at developing competitive intelligence, critical thinking, evaluating, applying a growth mindset, lateral thinking, philosophical thinking, and problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
They're probably the soft skills that I need.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you look over here, we've got the character qualities. And so if I did a 360, I would expect to see, hopefully, most of these showing up as strengths. But if some of them showed up as growth opportunities, I'd think, okay, right, well, that makes sense that I'm not so good at that one as I am at that one. So what can I do to build that one? Well, everyone's given me tools, tips, advice on how to do it. So it's a really easy way to develop any skill.
Yeah. David, this is just so fantastic. And, as you were talking, so many thoughts running through my mind. I know, for companies to get on the same page like this is great, but I'm also thinking about folks that maybe looking for a change of career or, looking to move to a different position or move up, when they start to, kind of get a framework of what the new job could entail, and I say, oh, they need a thought leader. Hey, I need to be
No, no,
this.
no, but it works slightly different to that.
Okay.
Because let's say you've got a 360
Yeah.
and people tell you all the strengths that you've got and you agree with them and all the rest of it. You might end up thinking, what other careers could I have that would play
Yeah.
to my strengths?
Mm,
And I'll give you a really simple
mhm,
example of that. You might be a nurse, but there are very different sets of character qualities that you need to be an accident and emergency nurse or a maternity nurse or a pediatric nurse or or a palliative end of care life nurse.
yeah.
And so I could be working in A&E, but I've got all the skill sets really that is needed to be a maternity nurse or vice versa. So it's not that I'm in the wrong career. I might be in the wrong department. Instead of being in marketing, I should be in finance, or instead of being in HR, I should be in sales. I mean, but also with what we've noticed that a lot of people were fast tracked. I mean, the number of CEOs over the years who told me stories like, "Oh, I didn't really want to go into engineering. I didn't really want to go into accountancy, but my dad and my granddad were both doing it, and so I felt pressure. Or I'd go into the Navy or whatever. Oh, what did you want to? I wanted to be a jazz singer, or they wanted to be something completely different. But I've also noticed lots of people, went through university and followed the path that they were told would help them lead to success. And they get into the Royal Navy as they were destined to do, but they're not really happy there.
Mm-hmm.
And then what they could figure out using our framework is actually I'd be brilliant in hospitality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd never thought of hospitality because I was, railroaded to go into the Navy. But actually, I've got all of the skills that a senior leader in the hospitality industry would absolutely need. So goodbye boat, hello hotel.
I had it backwards. This makes so much more sense. David, this has been amazing. And I feel like I just scratched the surface. So I hope I can connect with you again. This is just phenomenal stuff for leaders, for everyone. I love the way this is laid out, and it just makes so much sense. The last question I want to ask you is, how can people connect with you and get to work with you?
The best way to get hold of me is on LinkedIn. There is only one David C.M. Carter. And so depending on what your potential interest is after connecting, I could then point you off at our website or our Entelechy LinkedIn, or connect you to one of my colleagues. So just reach out to me on LinkedIn, David C.M. Carter, and then we'll figure out what to do afterwards.
Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. David, thank you for breaking this down in such a great way, and thank you for the work you're doing. And I almost feel like it's giving back all of where you've been through your career, and you're just giving back and making others successful. So continued success to you, and certainly I hope to continue to connect with you. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time as well.
Thank you very much.
Awesome. All right, sir. Folks, we'll leave it there. This has been Kenny and David with the Leading from the Middle podcast. We'll talk to you real soon.